Bases dropped on a new week of SDH AM. John here, you there. Thanks for hanging out with us as you always do. Let me fix something really quickly because we're missing a logo, and it goes right there. All right, it's a new week of SDH AM. Thanks for hanging out with us as you always do to kick off your Monday. It is a reaction Monday, as it always is. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent. It's what it's here for. Reaction Monday. Lay it all out for us on the Twitch pitch, and we'll have conversations with one another for the next couple of hours. As always, the traditional Monday is going to be happening. It's going to be Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game, and he'll be batting leadoff here in just a little bit. We'll go over Atlanta United and New England. We'll go over some of the numbers. We do have Jason's questions with Ronnie Dyla post-match, and we'll be running that. It's about 3.5 minutes. It's worth your time. So we're going to play that in lieu of highlights and other things. So Jason's Q&A with Ronnie Dyla after the match. We'll play that after we catch up with Abe. 10 o'clock, it's pretty much everything else that's going on in and around the world with Bart Keeler. It's going to be cards and calls. Take a peek at the weekend with USMNT. Take a look at the U20 tournament. That is going on tonight is the first match involving the United States. They are at 7 o'clock. I believe it's on FS2. And then it is, hang on just a second, now that I've got my curiosity peaked. Hang on. So let me see if this one's on FS2 or if it's on FS1. FS1. Okay, so the USA-New Caledonia match at 7 is on FS1. France and South Africa at 4 is on FS2. Colombia, Saudi Arabia simultaneously on FS2 at the same time that you have USA and New Caledonia. By the way, no real surprise. The U.S. is a massive favorite in this one, listed at a minus 10,000 against New Caledonia's U20s. And New Caledonia's U20s, for the record, are plus 5,900. So 4 matches today, 2 at 4, 2 at 7. France and South Africa, Norway and Nigeria, those are your 4 o'clockers. Colombia, Saudi Arabia, U.S., and New Caledonia, those are your 7s. So we'll get into that with Bart. We got cards and calls. We've got, what else with Bart? Looking at the USMNT players and what they did this past weekend, apparently Christian Pulisic at times is very, very good. So we'll get into that with Bart. We got to get into the twos, and that's why I broke out the Proving Ground T-shirt today. And so a big win for the twos last night. And with that win, the twos are now a point out of the playoff race. And they have a match plus 20 minutes, or 20 minutes plus a match, I guess this is the proper phraseology, because they still have to finish the 20 minutes that were left on the board from the midweek last week, wrap up that match against Chattanooga, then go to Fort Finley on Sunday for decision day. And that's going to be interesting because we still do not know when that 20 minutes is going to be taking place. Chattanooga FC, by all indications, is heading home today. And Chattanooga FC did Atlanta United 2 a solid last night with a 1-0 win on the road against NYCFC 2. And I guess this is probably opening kickoff. So we'll get into the twos a little bit. We've got more of the two stuff to get into coming up after Abe and after the Ronnie Dyla discussion and before Bart at 10 o'clock. So last night, Chattanooga FC does Atlanta United 2 a solid with the win 1-0 at NYCFC. So what that does, in addition to Huntsville knocking off Messi and Friends 2, and they put 4 on the board against Inter Miami CF2, who were playing with 10. They got a red card in the match. So Huntsville City gets a win. Chattanooga gets a win. Chicago Fire 2 does not. They lose 5-2 to Atlanta United 2. We've got all your highlights coming up in a bit. But standings now, as this is opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You hit that QR code, and you end up going into Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. We want you to buy out the store because then when you buy out the store, you can use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase, and then they in turn take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So here's the rundown. Actually, yeah, that's good. Okay. Here's the rundown of what's going on in MLS Next Pro. Morning, David. Yep. And I don't know if it's going to be gloating Bart, but it might be parting shot Bart, David. We'll keep an eye out for that. So here's the deal in MLS Next Pro right now. Like I said, we don't know when this 20 minutes plus is going to be made up. Clock froze at 69:30, and that's where we are. Chattanooga FC heading home today. They did not leave New York after the match last night because they probably would have been one of the last flights out. Match ended probably around 9:30. You would have had to find your way to an airport. You're probably leaving around 11. Instead, Chattanooga FC's leaving today to head south and come back home. Right now, the way it looks, Red Bulls 2, match in hand, they have 55 points. Union 2, they have one match to go, decision day, they've got 55. Revs 2, one match to go at 51. Huntsville, match to go, they can get as high as third with a win and some help from New England. They have the same number of wins right now, and that's your first tiebreaker. Huntsville's fourth at 49. Chattanooga is fifth at 48. And Chattanooga, once again, remember, 20 minutes plus the match on decision day. So they're at 26 matches played. You could have anybody from 5, 4, or 3 be the 3. Fire 2 with their loss, they're stuck at 46 points, but they're going to be no worse than 6th. Core is at 39 points. TFC 2 is at 38. That's your playoff bar right now. Atlanta United 2, 20 minutes to finish up the match. Then decision day to figure out what their postseason plans may or may not be. 37 points, same number of wins as Orlando City B. Better goal difference by 16, sorry. So Atlanta United 2 has same number of wins as OCB. They have the goal difference tiebreaker. And right now they're a point out of the playoffs. NYCFC 2 is still alive at 35. FC Cincinnati 2 has a match in the midweek there at 26. Matches played, 35 points. Crown Legacy, Messi and Friends 2, Columbus Crew 2. They're out the door. And they are heading to help out the parent clubs. So we'll get into that more after we catch up with Abe and find out what's on Abe's mind. And we will see if he is properly hydrated for a Monday morning. We will see how the muscles are and how many miles he clocked this weekend. So the questions have been asked. What, sir, are the answers?
Friday, I think I did a little over 8.5, 8.6 on Friday, and then like 9.2 yesterday. So
how do you, seriously, how do you, the body just gets used to that kind of thing? Because to me, that's 17 miles, and I do that in a car. I don't do that with a person.
Yeah, well, I had also done like 8 and change on Wednesday. As long as I have a day off, I think my legs recover. Wednesday's a track workout, so the concern there is like a little hamstring soreness. But came out of it pretty good, and just got healthier throughout the weekend, I guess. I don't know.
You're a braver man than I. I'll tell you that right now. Putting in all those miles. I stare at you and I applaud, sir. Well done. You're a lot faster than I am, and you're in far better shape. Bat and lead off again on a Monday. And obviously, you know, you've had a couple days to think about it. And what sticks in your mind from the overall, it could be the performance that you saw. It could be the 2 separate performances that you saw with Atlanta United and New England. Could be overall thoughts. What, now that you've had a little bit of time to think about it after running 17.8 miles, what else is stuck in your head?
Well, you know, I head into the match on Saturday with the mindset of like, man, I don't know how much this team is going to be up for this game. It's not against another team that has anything to play for, right? New England's out of it too. And I kind of felt like the performance showed that a little bit. The crowd was lackluster. You're not proving yourselves anything by getting 3 points on the road. It's not Nashville. It's not Columbus. It's not San Diego. It's not LAFC, which is a discussion we'll have over the course of this week. And it was just like, man, how are they going to approach this match? Yes, there is pride on the line, but it's been a long season. And at the end of the day, your own subconscious is going to say, man, we're just trying to get through these last 4 games. And it kind of felt performance and energy wise that may have played itself out in this match. I thought you were okay at times in the first half. You weathered a little bit of a storm early. You kind of controlled a good portion of that first half, but ultimately 0-0. And then in the second half, what seems to happen quite often happened, and you gave up 2 goals in the span of 4 minutes. And, the way I looked at it is I'm trying to think back now how the goals scored. Really nice.
It was Turgeman. Turgeman comes in, and it was you had the.
Well, I'm trying to remember the first one. I know the counterattack off the second, and I have some issues on how that play developed. And I think you have to credit New England on that performance. Turgeman's running for 90 yards down the right sideline with no one stepping in, no one taking a foul on him. I just don't think you defended there, and I'm sure Ronnie Dial feels this way, even if he won't say it publicly. He's certainly said things very similar. I don't think you defended with the intensity that you needed to on that second goal. I think Latte Loft did a pretty good job attempting to slow down the restart for Matt Turner. I mean, he bumps Turner twice. I don't know how much more Latte Loft could have done in that moment without securing a yellow card, short of grabbing him around the hips and flipping him around. I don't know what else Latte Loft could have done. But once that ball is off and rolling to Turgeman, he just runs up the sideline. I don't remember if it was Stian or who it was next to him. I thought there were multiple opportunities where they were running relatively side by side to take a foul. It would not have been dog, so you were way too far from goal, and you had people in the middle of the field retreating as well. I thought there should have been a foul taken on that second goal. There wasn't. And then you do have to credit Turgeman and who was it? Campana. Campana on the second one.
Right.
It's a brilliant touch. Pass from Turgeman's nice, but a really nice goal. One timer from Campana on that one. And so look, you did what you do, and you let 1 goal turn into 2. This is not a situation where I looked at it and say, boy, you should have had a number of finishes yourself. I don't think you had that many opportunities up front. And so, again, I just felt like the energy was a little bit lacking as we come down the home stretch. And hopefully it's a little bit better. Your last couple of games, obviously, you do have some opportunities to showcase a little bit against 2 teams that are going to be headed into the playoffs in LAFC and Inter Miami before you have that final match there at home.
With Crew, yeah. So the first goal you had Turgeman on the left, coming down left inside channel. Carlos Heel goes through.
Oh, right. Stian gets undressed. That's right.
And Stian, basically, Turgeman does a bit of a 1-2, and Stian goes one way. Turgeman leaves him going that one way, and then gets it past Jaden Hibbert. That was goal number 1.
Yeah, not a great display of defensive acumen from Stian Gregerson there. Obviously, with Turgeman, it's a player he has not seen yet. I would imagine, certainly not in MLS play. I don't know if they've ever come across each other internationally or any other circuits. Turgeman absolutely fooled him and turned him around, and it made for an easy finish there. Once Stian went one way and Turgeman with the ball went the other way. Nothing Hibbert could do on either of those goals, so no complaints there, but just got to be better defensively, obviously got to be better in transition. And again, I just felt the entire game, I felt energy was lacking.
Yep. Shot 17-13, 6 on target for New England, 4 on target for Atlanta United, 4 off target, 7 blocked shots for New England, 5 blocked shots for Atlanta United in that one. 14 shots inside the 18 total, 8 of those to New England, which meant that 16 were outside and 9 of those went to New England. So touches.
Even those numbers were almost entirely in the first half for Atlanta. I mean, they did nothing in the second half.
So the first half numbers, to your point, total, no big chances either side in the first 45. Total shots, Atlanta United had the advantage 8-7, 3 saves for Hibbert, 4 for Matt Turner. 3 corners, all for New England, 15 tackles, 8 to Atlanta United. 13 free kicks, 7 to Atlanta United. The one yellow went to New England in the first 45. 2 shots each off target, 2 blocks each side, 4 shots inside the 18 for Atlanta United in the first 45 minutes. 10 shots outside the box, both teams. 6 for the Revs in the first 45. So
Yeah,
those numbers.
Yeah, it just felt like once you went to halftime, and maybe someone else felt differently, but it felt like when you went to halftime and you didn't have much to show for a first half in which you played relatively equal, if not maybe a little bit better than New England, you were always going to slip a little bit. It just unfortunately that seems to be what this team has done over the course of the season is come out a little bit less than in the second half, and that certainly happened again. I mean, look, John, it's the same story all season, right? Like a bad stretch turns into a competitive game into a non-competitive game, right? 2 goals in 4 minutes. You're not strong enough, tight enough defensively in your own box. Ronnie Dyla's been preaching that, and on the offensive end, but specifically to this game on the defensive end. I mean, that showcased itself once again, and so it just. It's the moral of the whole season has been the weaknesses that you had in match day 4, match day 5, match day 6. They're still presenting themselves here on match day, whatever, 31, 32, whatever number it is. There just hasn't been enough improvement over the course of the season. Yeah, you dealt with injuries and whatnot here and there. But ultimately, it's still the same things costing you games as we approach the final couple of matches.
Yep, and so you end up now with that game going away from you in New England, and you get LAFC, who has just been completely and totally just off the rails, crazy offensive with Youngmin Son and Denny Bouanga, and that's going to be a different kind of challenge on the road coming up this weekend.
Yeah, my best hope for that is that you feel like you're playing something, you feel like you're proving something, and like I said, I was so nervous that. Not nervous for the result because at this point, who cares? But, I was wondering if the energy would be lacking because New England, you're not proving anything by taking it to them either. At least in this situation, you got an LAFC team that's driven, that has something to play for, and you can once again return to the role of spoiler the way you did against San Diego to an extent, the way you did against Nashville to an extent as well. And so maybe we get a little bit more of that from Atlanta United. Maybe they're a little more into the match. Because if you go out there and play with the energy you did against New England, it might look like whatever Philly did to whoever they played this past weekend. They gave up, or they scored 6 goals in a big win, and it was 3 in the first half, 3 in the second half, I believe. And if you go up there flat against LAFC, considering what you've allowed inside your box at times this season, they might put a touchdown on the board.
Yeah, and you've got to keep an eye on Stian Gregerson, who left the match with a knock. I think it was an ankle in the second half that we've got to keep an eye on this week. And so you could have 2 of your new acquisitions as your center backs next week if things play out in one universe, or you could have a name. You could have as that central defensive 3 going up against those 2. You could have your 3 new faces in Alzate, Barakal, and Amihai. You could have that for something for Ronnie Dyla and the front office to look at with 3 new faces there as a part of your defensive middle going against LAFC.
Well, look, if we know anything about Stian Gregerson, is that he's going to miss time at points during the season. So you're going to need Barakal and Mihai to pair together anyways. I just can't imagine the next year if all 3 are still here that Stian's just going to have 100% health rate there. So it'd be nice to see those 2 together and see what they can get. I've liked each of them alongside Stian. It'll be interesting to see how they pair together and if Mihai takes more of an alpha role, if they both play sidekick and it equals something as a unit, how it'll go together. I've not been as impressed with Alzate as I thought I would. It seems like at times he's struggling to get involved in the attack. I haven't yet viewed him as a plus defender. Now it's tough. You're being compared to Bartosz Slisz, who's almost always putting forth a man of the match discussion. But I have not seen as much from Alzate as I would have liked.
What are you looking for from him? Is it just the integration, trying to figure out, okay, I need you to be the offensive voice versus Bart's defensive structure? What are you looking for from Alzate specifically here?
Well, if you're not going to be dominant defensively, then yeah, I need you to get forward and be dangerous. If you are going to be, a complete stopper there through the midfield, that's one thing. But it doesn't look to me like that's what Alzate is being relied upon. I would like to see him find ways to get a little bit more help there into the midfield with Moranchuk, trying to get balls out wide, either floating over the top or being ready to blast if one gets cleared, outside the 18. But I don't know if I've seen that. Obviously, he had the assist 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, but that was off the set piece. That wasn't in play, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, the set piece with Montreal, with Nashville, where Ronald gets the header. Yeah,
yeah. So it's a little bit different there, but yeah, and especially considering the mistake he had a week ago against San Diego, I just need to see more.
Two guys that I wanted to ask you about. So I guess it's a two-part question. You can break it up however you wish. Miggy on the left, and the continued effort that we're seeing from Jamal up top. Now we're seeing healthy Jamal. And what have your thoughts been with Miggy on the left-hand side, Saba on the right, at least until the whistle blows, with Medanchuk working as your point guard? What have you thought about Jamal's work rate and Miggy on the left?
Yeah, we had Miggy as our man of the match on Saturday night. I just thought he really showed, and he's been creeping up into this discussion a lot more recently, but I thought he was dangerous. I thought he gets fouled in dangerous areas as well and makes defenders think, which is something we really hadn't seen through the early and middle stages of the season when he was on the right. I don't want to speak to the mechanics of moving to the left and how much that impacts him or how much that impacts Saba. But I do know that I see a slightly different Miguel Almiron, and maybe part of that is that he has TRA up top of him. I think if there's one thing I've taken away from this season, and look, we all had high hopes for Latte Loth. He has not been in coordination and communication with everyone else near him the way that TRA has. It has felt disjointed every time Latte Loth is up top, and it hasn't necessarily felt that way with Jamal TRA. Now, I will say this about TRA. It's frustrating because I feel like he should have 4 or 5 more goals, 6 more goals, 10 more goals than he's had. I mean, I say this with much love and no disrespect meant, although it's going to sound terrible. He's a terrible finisher. And it's just like, man, at the one bounce or the one touch, or it's like, man, if he could just pull that last moment together, he'd be one of the best strikers in MLS. And he's at times had breakaways that the ball got caught in between them. He had to slow down, defense recovered, or whatever it might be. And I say that with all love because I think TRA provides you something that you have not had since Joseph. I think that certainly he's giving you more than Latte Loth is, and that's tough to see, tough to hear because that's not how it's supposed to be. But I also think that underscores what TRA means to this team, the drive that he still has, even when he is continually told, "You're our number 2 striker, you're not starting," blah blah blah. He comes in, moment's notice, whether it's off the bench, ramps things up, whether he gets a start because of injury, ramps things up. And it just seems like there's more coordination, more fluidity with him up top. And I just wish he had a little bit more to show for it. But he is dangerous. He has drawn multiple penalty kicks this season that has helped Miggy pad his goal total as well. TRA, in my opinion, has been very good up top, and there's still space for him to be even better if he could finish some of the chances, some of the breakaways he's been given.
Yep, and he is one of those decisions that has to be made by the front office in the offseason. I think it's an option year. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but something to keep an eye on with Jamal. It is time to talk about the plans for the weekend. It's going to be 5 Stripes After Dark in LA at BMO. So what are the plans off the top of your head?
Yeah, it is a late kickoff. It's also a Sunday kickoff, so keep that in mind. Sunday, I believe 8 o'clock pregame with a 9 o'clock kickoff or shortly after 9 o'clock for that one. So, Yeah, man, get the energy drink ready. We'll all be tired from a day full of NFL football. Luckily, no Falcons game to have to sit through. So I will be properly emotional and ready to roll for Atlanta United as the only meaningful football match in this city on Sunday.
LAFC, Atlanta United, that is correct. It is a 9:10, well, 9 o'clock, so it's 9:10. So it is a 9:10 kick on Apple TV and MLS Season Pass. Atlanta heads to BMO to take on LAFC after what happened with the loss to New England. What else do we need to know about in the life of Abe Gordon before you get out of here?
Men's soccer league, getting back after it tonight. I've been averaging a little over 3 miles per match there as well. If you count my warm up, which is lengthy, so I don't pull a muscle. But
no, but what you're doing is you're being economical with your effort. You're making sure that you don't have to be turned on the entire time. You know when to turn it on, when to turn it off, right?
Well, I kind of do it to be turned on because we have a midfielder that likes to get caught up cheating forward. So I as striker, I kind of find myself dropping quite a bit. But I got 4 goals in 3 games, and we're going to try and add to that tonight.
There we go. All right, be safe, be well, and add more goals to that total. We got to get you toward the golden boot in that league of yours.
I'm in the discussion, I think, but I'm not there yet.
All right, good to see you, my friend. We'll catch up soon.
You got it. Thanks, John.
There goes Abe Gordon. 4 goals in 3 games. That's a good start for Abe in the Golden Boot race in his pickup league. We got to talk to Maddie about her pickup league too and find out what she's up to. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming by. Bart's going to join us top of the hour. We're going to go through cards and calls, go through the USMNT, go through the U20, and a moment in the Women's Super League that we have to kind of get into as well. So we'll get into all of that with Bart coming up in hour number 2. Right now, we'll get into Atlanta United. We'll talk about the twos. We'll go through the numbers with Atlanta United. We'll talk about the twos, run your highlights, and get you ready for what's going on. We'll go through once again. We'll go through the standings if you missed out in opening kickoff about what's going on with the twos as they are pushing for a playoff spot in MLS Next Pro. All right, let's get into the numbers for this matchup with Atlanta United. We talked about the stats themselves. Let's talk about some of the folks that we were focused on. Miggy on the day punched a 7.4. He and Alexi had the highest score in SofaScore's rating system. Miggy had 90 minutes, 62 touches from the left, at least when the whistle blows. Started on the left-hand side, 41 of 52 passing. 7 key passes for Miggy. 7 key passes on the day for Miguel Almiron. And it was 4 of 8 on his duels. He was fouled twice, had a tackle and a dribble passed on the day. Alexi, in his 90 minutes, 64 touches, 87% passing, 41 to 47. Each one of his long balls was completed. 3 for 3 on long balls on the day. 2 shots on target, 2 shots off, 2 shots blocked. So there was consistency from Alexi. Just light it up and go. 3 for 7 on his ground duels. He was fouled 1 time. He also had 2 tackles on the day. Bart Sleesh. And Bart had his full 90 minutes, 99 touches for Bart Sleesh, 67 to 75 passing on the day. 5 of 6 on his ground duels, 1 clear, 4 blocks, 3 picks, 5 tackles for Bart Sleesh. Another big day for Bart as he punched a 7.2. And Steven Alzate paired with Bart went to 85 minutes before he was subbed out by Brooks Lennon. And 78 touches, 56 of 60 passing from Alzate, 1 for 2 on his long balls, had 1 shot on target, 1 blocked, 1 for 2 in the dribble. 9 of 13 on his duels on the day, 8 of 12 on the ground. He won his only duel in the air. Fouled twice, 1 clear, 5 tackles for Alzate, 1 dribble passed. And that was with Steven Alzate. Then your center backs, it was Barakal and Stian Gregerson. Barakal finished with a 7.0 on the day, playing the full 90 minutes. 3 clears, 1 block, 3 picks, 2 tackles, and a dribble passed. 4 of 8 on his duels. He was fouled 1 time. 96% passing at 53 of 55 on 68 touches. He had 3 long balls completed as well. So a good night for Juan Barakal. And Stian Gregerson before he was removed late for an AME high. Like I said, we've got to keep an eye on the ankle injury for Stian Gregerson. And it was 15 clearances for Stian Gregerson on the day. That's an insane number. I cannot remember the last time that a center back had that many. I don't care what team you're playing for. I just can't remember the last time you had that many clearances for a player in a game day. It was 1 pick, 1 total tackle, 2 dribble passes, 4 of 10 duels on the ground. He was fouled 3 times, 60 touches, 33 of 38 passing, 87%. 1 of 2 long balls on the day. 15 clearances. That is an insane number of clearances for me, for one individual. Then once again, starting lineup, it was Jaden Hibbert in net, Amador, Barakal, Gregerson, and Ronald Hernandez. Then you had the 2 in front of Alzate and Bart Sleesh. Then you had the attacking 4 of Miggy, Miranchuk, Saba, and Jamal Tiare. So that was your lineup. Latte Lot came in for 25 minutes, filling in for Jamal. Brooks Lennon came in late. Tristan Muyamba came in late for Ronald. And Leo Afonso came in late for Saba. And Mihai came in late for an injured Stian Gregerson. So that was the rundown in that particular match for Atlanta United. We went over the stats and went over the numbers, but obviously you look at the 2 goals, and in goal number 1, it was just a great pass from Carlos Heel, and you end up with Heel passing to his left, and Dov Turgeman turned Stian Gregerson around and left Stian going to his left. If you look at the play, you'll see that obviously through the middle, Carlos Heel gets past Bart, and then he finds Turgeman open on the left, and Turgeman put the brakes on. He fakes to his right, and Stian fully committed to try to swipe and clear the ball away with his right boot and try to clear it away to his left. And that was when Turgeman goes back to his left in the step over and gets it past Jaden Hibbert for the first goal. And I know that there was a lot of discussion that Abe had in the second goal, and Abe did mention Latte Lot in that discussion. I'm of the mindset where you got to do what you got to do. So the kick comes in, and literally you see in the replay just a slight bump off the shoulder. And this is where I will respectfully disagree with our gentleman, Abe Gordon. And it's sent in on the corner. Turner reaches up and grabs it, and it's just the slight shoulder bump by Latte Lot. And then that release from Turner sends everything going down the right-hand side. And it's 3v3 pretty much. And you end up with the pass to Campana, and Campana in the middle, and he gets it past Hibbert for the second goal in about 3 minutes. So it's the distribution from Turner that wasn't fully disrupted. It is a shoulder bump, but it is not enough to disrupt Turner and his distribution. And Ben Salah called advantage at that point, and they finished the play with the second goal in 3 minutes, and that was the second goal and the ultimate decider on the night. So here's what we're going to do. We'll go into the post-match comments. And this is particularly for those of you who missed it. This is the section of the post-match with Jason in New England asking questions of Ronnie Dyla. Like I said, it's about 3.5 minutes, but it's worth your time. Traditionally, I like to do highlights and things like that. But if there is a chunk of material, that's the beauty of having the length in this show, is that we can go a little longer than normal and not just play sound bites and do things in their fuller context. So here is the post-match press conference. If you missed it, and it's Jason's questions for Ronnie Dyla after the match in the 2-0 loss to New England. Once again, this is late Saturday night at Foxborough. Here's Ronnie Dyla after the match.
I want to ask first, what changed in the second half?
I think overall, the first 60 minutes, even, I think we are maybe a little bit better on them. But we're losing too many challenges over and over again. I think it looks like they wanted more than us. When you look at challenges, running back, staying compact, being aggressive, we are too soft. And that's happened on the goal. We lose the ball and we have to make a free kick there instead. They get through 2 of us and then get the opportunity after that. They are best and we cannot recover. So I come back to that. We are so many times around the 16 meter. We have to have more clear-cut chances after that. A little bit what we have talked about. So in that part, every time we switch it, every time we come out of their pressure, we come to good opportunities inside their box, get to 20 crosses. So that we need to create more, and we have to kill the game when we have these kind of opportunities. And at the same time, also the other way, we are too, as I said, I've used that expression many times this year, soft, because you cannot go away and not dig in and fight and win challenges. That's the starts with, and I think they wanted that more than us today, and that's very, very sad to say.
It felt like around the attacking third, like you said, the team was getting into good spots, but the final ball was either overhit, underhit, or it took too long to come. Is that down to maybe people putting too much pressure on themselves or not being decisive enough or something else?
Yes, that's both. I think a little bit of confidence can be, but we have, we should go out and enjoy yourself and be creative in the last third of the pitch. The worst is if you're not there. And earlier this season, we have some games that we were not even close to come there. Now we are there all the time, and that's in every game. So now it's about timing. It's about quality, that we show our quality in these kind of situations. And it's about teamwork, because last third is of course the most difficult part in the game, and that has to be structured, and we work on that every day. And then there has to be some killer instinct into the last third, and that was lacking today.
Last one from me. The second goal, it's a corner for Atlanta. They're able to go the other way real quickly. What do you want to see be different in that moment to not let them break? Is it not letting Turner distribute? Is it a foul in the middle third? Is it getting numbers back? Like, what went wrong in that for you?
We show it 5 things of Turner kicks the ball on that in the meeting before the game. So that was very clear. It's about attitude, It's about being concentrated. It's about discipline. It's nothing else. It's no excuses. They have to own that. That's it's everybody knew about it. So they have 3, 4, 5 players that is running against our 3, and that was a 1-0. And that's what I say also. Do you want it enough? And that's sad to see.
Ronnie Deila, head coach for Atlanta United, after the match in the 2-0 loss to New England Revolution. And this was a point that Abe made this morning, and he made it also in the full-time report on Saturday. I would just say this about not being interested or energy level or what have you. First 45 minutes, I would say that Atlanta United was right there with New England. And I know that we have the same conversation about game state and moments and how moments turn matches. And you had 2 moments in this match that turned into goals for New England, and that was your ultimate result. So you end up with those 2 moments for Atlanta United. But I would posit to Abe's point about energy level and folks not wanting to be there and playing out the string. If they're not, if they are doing what Abe is saying, then I don't anticipate any of those individuals, whomever they would be in Abe's mind or what have you, that what you are doing is you're jeopardizing your own future if you're doing something like that. If you are, like I said, if you're going out there and you have been tapped to be in a starting lineup and you are either trying too hard, and I think we've seen a lot of that this year. I think that when things are going poorly, there is the thought of putting all of the pressure on yourself to begin with. And then when things go poorly, you have the idea in your head of, I have to work that much harder and continue to put that much pressure on yourself. And that's where it ends up in this cycle of things aren't working. I've got to try harder. I'm trying harder. Things still aren't working. I've got to try even harder than that. And it just ends up like you're taking the same steps. You're on the treadmill and nothing is changing. I would rather have someone who is continuing to try and figure out if they want to either be a part of the discussion next season where Atlanta United is concerned, or have it be an open audition for next year wherever that individual is going to be, than someone who's just going to be out there and kind of Christmas treeing it. And then, I'm out there because I am who I am and they're not going to pull me. So I'm just going to do whatever I'm going to do and I'm going to freelance or whatever. I would rather have folks who are trying, and Ronnie Dyla did get into the discussion about not being killer instinct in the final third. I think we have seen, once again, this season, you have seen a lot of folks who might be thinking too much because of the pressure that they are putting upon themselves. And instead of just being, they're thinking. Instead of doing, they're just thinking. And so when you think too much, you're kind of outside your own zone of what you think of your own abilities. And once again, we get into the treadmill. So I think that we've seen a lot of the treadmill this year. And there are times where you just can't get out of your own way, when it comes to your thought about yourself and your play and how you are integrating with everyone around you. And if you are doing well enough, do I need to try harder? If I'm trying harder in my mind and things still aren't happening, then so you see what I mean with treadmill. So I think we've seen a lot of the treadmill this year. And just it's like the end of the Jetsons episode where, Jane stopped this crazy thing where George is walking Astro and he's on the treadmill and everything's fine. And then everything speeds up and then you end up taking a face plant and, Jane stopped this crazy thing. So sometimes, and we've seen it a lot this year from a lot of different folks, I think that you're trying, and the trying is causing you to think too much. Because seriously, how many times this season have we seen folks that have had the ball inside the 18, and how many times have you been at a match where you've seen Atlanta United's offense inside the 18 and you want them to just shoot? You want them to just shoot. And instead, they pull it back out. They have to reset and recycle and all those kinds of things. And then that momentum is lost. It's happened a lot this year. And so the pressure that the players have put on themselves, once again, manifests itself in these moments. And then mistakes are amplified, and you end up with the results that you've been getting. Like I said, we talk about game state. We talk about single moments. All those kinds of things matter in this. But where Abe mentions he doesn't think that you're getting a whole lot of try, I would think that if the pressure of expectation and self-imposed expectation is there for you, then you're thinking a lot. And that's where we've been this season with Atlanta United, and the expectations that are attached by all of you who are out there as 17s, and the expectations of everyone that started this season sitting there saying, okay, third or fourth in the Eastern Conference. And then they get out there, and then for whatever reason, one mistake compounds into two, compounds into more, and you end up losing. And then you end up losing more than once. And then the mistakes compound themselves all over again. So like I said, it's a treadmill that comes from a couple of different places this year. But I would rather have players who are out there who want to audition for themselves wherever that next year is going to be, instead of just somebody who's just out there and he's kind of lollygagging. And it's like, all right, I'm starting because I'm supposed to start and I'm going to do my own thing. So that's where we are, sadly. And and Wiley and Emilio, I do see your comments on this. And I know it's frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating. And you're trying now, once again, you have made transactions in the summer window, and it's been, I think, 12 net transactions, 6 in and out. And so now you have Chris Henderson as a chief soccer officer and his ideas as to where things should be going, and the scouting that has been done in trying to bring in players like a Steven Alzate and Juan Baracol and Anea Mihai and all that kind of stuff. So you're seeing players coming in, and there are decisions that have to be made outside of the players that have been brought in, the players that are here now. There are decisions that have to be made. I think it's 8. So you're looking at, and of those 8 folk, or of the 30 that are on the roster, you're looking at all of these things that are there and all these decisions that have to be made. And I would much rather see an individual who is busting his hump trying to prove that I should be sticking around instead of sitting there and going, well, you know, I'm me and therefore I should stick. So for me, that's the difference here. We've been in audition mode for quite some time. So when it comes to the tail end of this year, you got a handful of matches to go, and they're tough ones. And I think that it was the schedule makers that sat there and went, okay, so we anticipate that this team is going to be doing X, so we'll give a lot of highly competitive matches at the end of the schedule. LAFC, Messi and friends, and then DC United. DC United for the last home match of the year on the 18th. So having this audition mode for quite some time. I think that you saw some things in the win against Nashville. I think you saw some things in the draw against San Diego. And now it's up to the auditioners. You're going into a tough environment against LAFC. Which team shows up? Which individuals show up? Is it going to be the ones that were there for Nashville, for the draw against San Diego, or the ones that were there for Columbus? Messi and friends at the Erector set on the 11th is going to be a little different because it's in an international window. Lineups are going to be different. Do you take advantage of that situation? And then wrapping up against DC, decision day, 6 o'clock. Once again, do you prove that there is something to build toward against a team in DC that was the victims at Blowout City last week? Do you take advantage of that too? There's a chance to finish this season strong. There's a chance for these individuals that are auditioning to sit there and say, yeah, I think I need to hang around. I see what you're trying to do. Or, you know, I'm out of contract, or I might be an asset that's worth, a chip somewhere or another. So I can prove that I'm an asset worth trading or, worth having around in one way or another. So that's where you are in this last month of the season. But if there is anyone to Abe's intimation that basically wants the season to be over, then they don't need to be playing. Let the individuals that want to play. That should be shown basically from Monday through Friday at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. Coaches should be able to see who wants in and who doesn't, who's invested and who's not, who wants to focus on their future, who wants to be a part of their future, whether it's with Atlanta United or someplace else. Who's invested in playing in this last month of the season? That's what I want to see. Who's invested in their future, who's invested in the future here with Atlanta United. If you're not, then sit on the bench, be inactive, do whatever. To Abe's point, if there are individuals that basically they're just kind of, clocking in and clocking out, 9 in, 9 out, you hit the machine, it registers on your time card and you're out the door. Those folks, sit. Just sit. So that's kind of where we are. Anyway, that, like I said, that's my thoughts on what Abe was saying about players not being invested. If they're not invested, they don't need to be out there. Ronnie Dyla's talking about killer instinct. I know we'd all like to see more of that. From the conversation that that Ronnie and Jason had, it seemed like they had Matt Turner pegged when it comes to distribution off of set pieces, and that wasn't disrupted, and that ended up leading to the second goal. So that was something that they covered. And that's where we are. And yeah, Wiley, you don't want to be wooden spoon. You don't want to be playing against the idea of the wooden spoon for match day last. You don't want to do that. So Bart's coming up in about 5 minutes. Let me get into a couple of quick things that we can get to bridge the time. We'll get into what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. And we'll show, where is it? Here we go. Okay, so here's what's going on today. We mentioned the U20s, 4 o'clock on FS2, 7 o'clock doubleheader FS1 and FS2. USA New Caledonia is at 7. Colombia, Saudi Arabia is at 7 on FS2. We're going to be at the Brew House tonight, 8 o'clock, 8 to 10-ish, for another go-around of soccer over there. We'll be talking about that, talking about all the things that happened this past weekend in all of the European theater, South America, all the things, picks of the week. We have a winner, and we'll figure out what's going on there, too. BNB in Espanol is simulcasting Super League Monday Night Football, Besiktas and Kayserispor. That one's at 1 o'clock Eastern time. You can get all the BNs right now and all the other networks that are attached to our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. And you can get all the BNs. You can get TVV. You can get TIC, Liga 1 Max Pro. Let me see what's on right now, as a matter of fact, just to let you know. It is Liga 1 Max Pro, the morning show on TIC, all the BNs, Gold TV in English and Spanish, and TVV. You also can get South American action from Canal 4. You can get Tigo Sports, and there are a couple of other networks that pop up as well. You can watch all the Brasileiro. You can watch the Argentine League. You can watch, once again, Liga 1 Max Pro. You can keep up with Sporting Cristal and Luis Abram. Yesterday, it was Racing and Independiente. You got to see Santi Sosa in a fantastic environment. Goal Estrada, it was a great environment at Racing. And it's kind of like Racing and Independiente is kind of like Liverpool and Everton used to be, separated by a park, but this is kind of like separated by a parking lot. Literally Racing Stadium, Independiente Stadium. And they had the one shot from the drone where it's just like stadium in front, stadium from the rivals in the back. You get Brasileiro, Libertadores, Sudamericana, all the things at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps them out, helps us out, and it keeps it all rolling for you. ESPN Deportes says La Liga's Monday Night Football at 3 o'clock. Fox Deportes, Serie A Monday Night Football at 12:30. Parma and Torino. Portuguese Primera, Aruca and Porto. My guess is our buddy Nino Torres is calling that one on Gold TV at 3. Universo Monday Night Football in the Premier League. Everton and West Ham is at 3. And they're also showing USA New Caledonia at 7. ESPN Plus has the La Liga matchup. Fox Soccer Plus has Norway, Nigeria at 4. NBCSports.com has the Premier League. Paramount Plus has your doubleheader in Serie A. Parma, Torino, Genoa, Lazio. Peacock has the U20, France, South Africa, Colombia, Saudi Arabia. And on the women's side, the German DFB Pokal on DAZN USA, Borussia Dortmund, and Bayern Munich. That one is at 12:30. So that's your rundown of what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, with everything that is going on today on a very, very busy Monday. So, like I said, Bart's going to join us coming up in a bit, and we'll go over what's on Bart's mind from the weekend. Cards and calls. There's a lot of stuff to get into in cards and calls to have to walk through. And the twos match, I'll kind of put that one toward the end of the discussion because of consistency and try to figure out where the line is and all this kind of stuff. How difficult is it to transition from being a fourth to a first in basically 1 day's time? And so, that's what we're staring at here. So once again, Bart comes in, USMNT, U20s, cards and calls, and then we'll talk about the twos for the remainder of the show and news of the morning and all that kind of stuff, getting you ready for your day. If you don't have Morning Espresso, subscribe to the Morning Espresso, and you get Jason's thoughts to kind of kick off the day. Jason's Morning Espresso kind of leads into us, and then that kind of leads into the rest of the day. So that's where we are when it comes to our grid on a daily basis. And you can catch all of our thoughts on all of our social media platforms: YouTube, 280, Twitch, Instagram, all the things. You can catch them all in one place. But yeah, our day starts with Jason in the Morning Espresso, comes here and then carries on for the rest of the day. Yeah. Dell, I think I got pounded in fantasy. He needs Jack Grealish to do well for Everton. Morning, Dell. Morning, Emilio. Morning, Katie Weaver. And morning, Wiley. And let's see, who else is in this morning? It is morning, Will. Morning, Derek. And let's see, who else am I missing? Morning, David. And that catches us up on the Twitch pitch. And as always, thanks for hanging out with us as you always do. It's 10 o'clock. So that means that we catch up with Bart Keeler and find out what's on Bart's mind on a bunch of different things. We have tournament soccer that we have to talk about. Bart, it's the U20s. What are you anticipating?
Yes, indeed.
What are you anticipating out of the U20s other than getting a bunch of goals and a bunch of points? What would be a good run for you in the U20s for the U.S.?
You know, John, I think first off, good morning, happy Monday.
Good morning, happy Monday.
As we always talk about with youth tournaments, and as you alluded to, winning the whole shebang is not always the most important thing. That doesn't necessarily correlate to dadgum anything when you look at national team success on the senior level. So my answer is I want to see a couple guys who I think maybe possibly could be on the roster come, well, probably May 2026 for the tournament that may or may not be happening to distribute email notifications that you may or may not be eligible to buy tickets to the said tournament that may or may not be happening.
Yes, those are supposed to be
summer.
happening today. Yes, you're supposed to at least keep an eye on your inbox for
yes.
that.
Yes. So there's your PSA. Keep your eye on your inbox / log into your FIFA account and see if that happens.
Yes.
So, John, that's really the goal here is how many guys from this squad look like they can be contributing factors to. And again, it's probably very unlikely just because of the timing of things, but maybe a couple guys. And I think there are possibly 2 or maybe 3, depending on who you're looking at, that can give Mauricio Pochettino pause to go, oh, maybe he needs to be included. Now, from the on-field perspective, I think similar to what I said about the men's national team, the senior national team, you should always go try to win a knockout round match, right? I think that's always a good goal, no matter what tournament you're playing in. So in this tournament, you've got, I don't want to say an easy group, because I don't think any group is easy in a youth national team setup, but you have a very winnable game today, and I think a very winnable game at the end of your group stage match. And sandwiched in between those two is a great big, trying to think of a French cold cut, but I don't think they do that because they don't believe in that. Whatever cured meat sandwich you want to pretend is in France. But the French match on
it's a Royale
Thursday.
with cheese matchup is what it is.
Yeah, the Royale with the croque monsieur in the middle is going to be a tough one. But you should be able to get out of this group. That's the number one thing. Go try to win a knockout round match. I think as we saw from results over the weekend, lots of things can happen, John. So just control what you can control and go try to win a knockout round match. I think if you make what would then be the quarterfinals of that would be, I think, a pretty successful run. I think a lot of people who are connected in the youth soccer sphere look at this group as not like a high ceiling, but seem to feel like they have a high floor. There only are a couple guys that maybe jump off the page at you. One of those got sent back home, by the way. We can talk about him after this answer.
Oh, sure.
And the rest of them are kind of just really darn, pretty good, pretty average, but pretty good. One of those guys is our dude, Luke Brennan, who I think falls into that category of, he's a professional soccer player. He gets the job done for his, one of the worst teams in MLS. But hey, he's starting and for the most part and getting the job done. There's a lot of guys on this roster that kind of fall into that category of they're full-fledged professionals. Hopefully that translates to some success in this tournament.
So the individual that I believe you were referring to is Diego Koken. Yeah. And he was supposed to be, in a lot of thoughts, the starting keeper for the U.S. I guess technically it's USMNT. It might be a YNT. But now he was recalled by Barca. And so now that you're supposed to I mean, basically, you got 2 days to come up with somebody. And so they end up with Brøndby's Gavin Beavers coming in before the opener with New Caledonia. 2 other keepers, Adam Beaudry with the Rapids and Duran Ferry from San Diego. But basically, I mean, what that phone call, that has got to be a rude phone call. Literally, it's like Barca dials you up, and it's like, yo, bro, we need our takebacks. We're doing a takebacks here.
Yeah, this bothered me, John. I'm not going to lie. I feel like there should be some stipulation of like, if there's got to be a window before the tournament that, or once you've let them go. I mean, we were in Chile.
Mhm.
I don't get it, but yeah, he got recalled to Barca, which the silver lining there, John, is
Yes.
clearly Barcelona, because Kochen was kind of the Barcelona B starter, right?
Right.
That is his role, which is perfectly fine for an 18, 19-year-old kid. Clearly, Barcelona views him as a keeper good enough to be the backup
Mhm.
for their full-fledged senior
So he's a
squad
keeper, is what you're
right
saying.
now.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a keeper. He's a keeper who's a keeper.
Mhm.
I like to say that about myself as well.
Attaboy.
But that is a positive, right? So that's like from if you're looking at the U.S. national team setup, if you go, dang, we might have a kid starting for Barcelona, or at the very best, is in the Barcelona system who will probably get sold or loaned to a darn good team within the next year. That is a positive. But if you're looking at this tournament, well, this sucks, because I think everyone was kind of excited to see Kochen and what he could do on the national level. Now, who replaces him, John? That's the question. I'll just say I don't think there's based on the kind of slightly tight turnarounds for these matches and limited roster, it wouldn't surprise me if Marko Mitrovic does kind of rotate.
Mhm.
I don't think we're seeing Gavin Beavers today. I think that's
No.
a fairly safe
Hi,
assumption.
you just walked in the door. Shake hands. Get
Yeah.
your on,
If I had to guess, Adam Beaudry is going to be the guy who starts for this team. He is the starter for, he was the starter for Colorado Switchbacks, and now he's back with Colorado Rapids. But he's a dude who has played a lot of professional minutes. I would guess he is going to get the look. He played a lot in the U20 qualification tournament last year as well. That's my guess, but we don't know, and because Marco hasn't had a press conference, so. It is an interesting question, and certainly a shakeup that I don't think the team wanted to have
No.
this close to the tournament.
It's like, dude knocks on your door. Mr. Mitrovic. Who is it? Barcelona, sir. What? I'm not picking up. I'm not answering the, phone rings.
Do you think they care about time zones? And do you think they
No.
called them at it's 9 a.m. Barcelona time, but
don't
it's
care.
what, 6 hour or 5 hours behind?
Yeah,
So
so
it's like 2 a.m.
2 or 3 in the morning, and Marko
Yeah.
Mitrovic is like, the phone rings, and his phone rings in his hotel room. Who is it? Mr. Mitrovic, it's Barcelona, sir. What do you want? And you have that conversation. We'd like to call back our keeper. Call me in the morning when there's sunlight out. No, we need him back right now. Could you imagine the headaches that's going on in South America right now for Marko Mitrovic having to do all that stuff? That's not the phone call that you want from the front desk. Mr. Mitrovic, sir, we have a phone call for you from Barcelona, Spain. One of those kind of things. The roster that he assembled, he pretty much got everybody that he was hunting for the U20 World Cup. 16 players with the MLS clubs, 3 for San Diego FC. So there's your tie to Mikey Veras right there. 5 foreign-based. And you had 44 former U20 World Cup players made a senior World Cup roster. 12 earned more than 100 senior caps. 9 former U20 World Cup players were on the 22 World Cup squad. So here's your squad, short of Diego Kochen. Beaudry and Ferry and Gavin Beavers in net. Defenders, Reed Baker-Whiting, Luca Bombino, Noah Cobb, Ethan Kohler, Nolan Norris from FC Dallas, Francis Westfield from Philly, Joshua Winder, who is at Benfica now, who went through the Racing Louisville system and got sold over to Benfica. So when you look at those defenders, you're looking at dudes that are getting reps in Major League Soccer already as a part of this U20 roster. That's some pretty
I think the question is who starts next to Josh Winder.
Right.
And I don't know that answer because
why don't you call up Marko Mitrovic in his hotel and ask him?
I know.
Like Barcelona.
We have seen that people can reach him. Reed Baker Whiting seems to be the logical answer, but we've seen Westfield start next to him as well. So I don't know. It's hard to make, John, because when you're watching or following these U20 matches, a lot of their prep is like super just like, yeah, we got to get guys, it feels youth tournament E and that like, yeah, we got to get this guy to play a half or we need him to start a game. And so it is hard to kind of like fully look at who will be starting based on previous lineups, just because they are kind of, well, we're just trying to get people on the field together.
Yes.
But I would guess that we're looking at a decently okay center back pairing.
Okay.
I think a lot of people are concerned about the right back situation though. Left back probably going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you'll be all right. Midfield. Matthew Corcoran, who we know from his time at Huntsville City, got recently called up to Nashville. Benjamin Kromoski, who we know. Taha Habrun, who we know. Brooklyn Raines, who we know. Pedro Soma with San Diego FC, and Nico Shakiris, who's getting reps at San Jose with the Earthquakes. What about that midfield group?
Similar to the senior national team, this midfield is by far the strongest group of this roster. You mentioned a lot of guys who play real professional minutes, not just at the MLS Next level, but at the MLS level. I mean, Pedro Soma plays a whole lot. Obviously, we know Ben had just got a transfer from Miami to Parma so that he could actually play soccer, because in Miami they don't believe in playing kids. They only sign guys who
in the
play
attack.
Barcelona.
In the attack, they do in defense. In the attack,
let me slander Miami right now, okay? I'm allowed. We have nothing else in this season to do other than slander
you're
Miami.
chasing that. Look,
Miami,
you're chasing after Messi and friends all you want. I ain't stopping you. I'm just saying,
exactly.
Nico
Sakaris is probably the most exciting group player out of this group, because he plays in a more exciting position. But he obviously plays a lot for San Jose as well. So that's kind of the fun part of this group, is you do have some guys who are legit ballers in this midfield group, and that's probably going to be the strength of this team. If you're looking at, if this team is to be successful, you're going to need to get goal contributions from your midfielders, because I'm sure as we talk about the next group, goal contributions, not sure where those are going to come from.
Luke Brennan, Cole Campbell at Borussia Dortmund, Xavier Gozo with RSL, Peyton Miller, and Marcus Zambrano from RSL, your 5 forwards.
John, I see 2 Georgia boys in that list. That's kind of awesome.
Cole Campbell from Peachtree City and Luke Brennan, the local. Yes, absolutely true.
Look, Cole Campbell's the stud of this team. That is the fact. He plays at Dortmund. Mostly doesn't play, but hey, he's at Dortmund, and he does get put on rosters a lot, game day rosters a lot. He has that magic ability to make things happen coming off that right side, cutting onto his left foot. He has to be the best player on this team if this team wants to be good. That's just the fact of the matter. He's good on the dribble. He does make smart runs. I'm really excited to see how he goes against guys who are just factually not as good a quality as other players at Dortmund and in the Bundesliga. But he does need to himself. He needs to kind of show out this tournament to prove to A, Dortmund, or B, whoever Dortmund sells him to, that he is a valuable piece in whatever project they're building, because he kind of is in that weird situation at Dortmund where I don't think he's part of the long-term project. That doesn't mean he's a bad player. It's just they're probably looking to ship him off somewhere this winter, and he's got to put himself in the shop window looking good. So this tournament can go a long way for that. But also for the U.S., he has to be good. He has to be the guy who does score the goals, because Gozo maybe, Zambrano maybe, but it's going to be Cole Campbell. I think that is. I want to shift to Luke Brennan, because I think that's the other thing that I want to talk about here.
Yep.
Luke will probably start. That's false. I don't know if Luke will start. And I think that's going to be, if we can hyper focus on Atlanta United and Luke Brennan, Luke needs to win that starting job over a guy 3 years younger than he is, Peyton Miller from New England, who's not even really a left winger. He's a left back, but they're kind of putting him into that Caleb Wiley role where he's really a defender, but hey, you're good enough at attacking. 'We're going to make you a left winger. Luke, I think, that is going to be, if we can hyper focus on Atlanta United and Luke Brennan, Luke needs to win that starting job over a guy 3 years younger than he is, Peyton Miller from New England, who's not even really a left winger. He's a left back, but they're kind of putting him into that Caleb Wiley role where he's really a defender, but hey, you're good enough at attacking. We're going to make you a left winger. Luke I know y'all have sung his praises a lot this year in Atlanta United, and that's fine. He's been fine. He's been okay. I don't think I've seen anything that tells me he should be a starter going into next season. Sorry to all the people who think that just because you score a goal means that you should be starting next year. But he needs to figure out if this is the moment he's going to take a step up, and it can be because he turns into kind of a leader on this team, turns into someone who's not afraid to carry the load for a team that needs goal scorers or at least goal contributors. If he can do that this tournament, I think Atlanta United will be very happy, and that hopefully can continue in his development. I mean, he's very young. We get that. He's not even 21 yet, right? So we're still in the, well, he could be something, but he's got to prove to me this tournament, this is just me, that he actually is capable of being that something as Atlanta United looks toward 2026 and probably clearing a lot of houses in the offseason.
Group A from the weekend. Japan shuts out Egypt 2-0. Chile beat New Zealand 2-1. Group B, Paraguay 3-2 winners over Panama. Ukraine 2-1 winners over South Korea. Group C, Morocco over Spain 2-0. And I think that a lot of folks may be sleeping on the Moroccan side when it comes to this tournament, because this is the group. I think this is officially the group of death because it's Morocco, Brazil, Mexico, and Spain.
It's a tough group. It's a tough group for anyone. There's not a weak opponent in that group at all.
And somebody's not going to make it out of the group because you have Brazil and Mexico. They drew 2-2 in Group C. Morocco beat Spain 2-0 on the weekend. Group D, Argentina over Cuba 3-1. Italy 1-0 over Australia. Group E is where the United States is. It's France, the USA, South Africa, and New Caledonia. Group F, Colombia, Nigeria, Norway, Saudi Arabia. And then you get into the top 4 third-place teams. They're the ones that make it out. So the top 2 and then the top 4 third-place teams make it into the knockouts, and that's where it all goes. But, yeah, that Group C is what you really have to look at as Morocco, Brazil, Mexico, and Spain. That's 4 heavyweights that are going to be trading blows for an entire group stage.
Yeah, it's that one's just a tough group. For looking at the knockout round, because I know we love to do that. If the U.S. wins Group E, they will play the runners-up of Group D. If they finish second in Group E, they will play the winners of Group F, which that's the Colombia, Saudi Arabia, Norway group. That's a tough group as well because a lot of those teams have pretty good youth systems. I don't finish third.
Yeah,
don't do that.
Third.
Don't put yourself in that position. Go take care of business today to give yourself an opportunity to maybe steal a point, maybe win against France in the midweek.
Yep. The numbers, by the way, juice boxes in this one heavily in the U.S. favor. They're a minus 10,000 against New Caledonia. I didn't know there was an Old Caledonia, but U.S. right now a minus 10,000 on the board at 7 o'clock on FS1, plus 5,900 for New Caledonia's U20s, and the draw is a plus 1,100 if New Caledonia decides to basically just go to the Laredo garage, find as many doors as they can, find as many sets of keys as they can, and just sit there and line them up. And then that way they would survive with a point there. So it's 4 matches today, 4 matches tomorrow, and that's the end of match day 1 when it comes to the U20s.
This is a weird geographical quirk in this group, John, that you have France and overseas territory of France in the same group.
Oh, gee, I wonder how that happened. I'm just saying. You wouldn't think that there might have been some pre-planning in that, did you? Just kind of like they do in the NCAA basketball tournament where you end up with coaches in their weird locales. Hey, they could play each other in the second round if they make it through. Yeah. West Virginia ends up playing Cincinnati in a bracket or something. Hey, how did that happen? Oh, we don't know. We were just putting things together.
Go beat them today and then let everything else take care of itself.
Yes, exactly. We talked about the U20s and we've talked about all of the intrigue that is attached to the U20s that is here. This past weekend, for folks that we're kind of staring at when it comes to the USMNT, Christian Pulisic, he had his 4th Serie A goal, 6th of the season. He had a busy day, so he was on top of things. He was given an 8 in the rankings on a scale of 1 to 10. Weston McKennie, Yunus Musa both came off the bench. Juve and Atalanta meeting a 1-1 draw, but Weston McKennie's only played 177 minutes in 6 matches. Musa has played 33 Serie A minutes. His only start since the move to Atalanta was in the loss to PSG. Chris Richards was a part of the Crystal Palace crew that got the last-minute win against Liverpool on Eddie Nketiah's late game winner. Tanner Tessman helps Lyon get a win at Lille to move even with PSG. By the way, Lyon has 5 shutouts in 6 league matches. Joe Scally 2 assists for Borussia Mönchengladbach. Nokai Banks made his longest appearance over 30 minutes in almost 8 months for Augsburg, even though they lost their 4th straight. And then Diego Koken was on the bench for Barcelona after Marko Mitrovic got his phone call at 4 o'clock in the morning. So he was on the bench for the 2-1 win over Real Sociedad as they try and figure out where they're playing. So what did you think of the USMNTers on the weekend?
I think we can start with Christian Pulisic and just talk about that masterclass performance. That was, I mean, he looked like a world-class player. I think that's been the discussion around him for quite some time, but he finally looked truly like a world-class player in that match, propelling AC Milan to victory with an assist and a goal. That's what we need to see out of him. The question for Pulisic is, how does he do that over a season? Now, obviously, multiple goals or goals and assist games are hard to come by in any league, but how does he extrapolate that from now until the end of May? And Milan doesn't have a lot to play for this season because they're not in European competitions. So they do have the ability to kind of just focus on the league and maybe win the Italian Cup. I forget what it's called. Coppa Italia.
Get the Scudetto.
And maybe win the Scudetto. So that's kind of, if you're looking at the World Cup, how does he continue this form throughout the season so that he comes in ready to just light the turf ablaze next summer? I'm going to again harp on Tanner Tessman. He started. He didn't play all 90, I don't think, if I'm remembering my stats correctly. But that is huge for him. He's come off the bench the last couple of times. Obviously, he scored both times. He did not score in this particular match, but getting a start in league play is huge for Tanner Tessman. He's a guy who I think it's fair to say he hasn't looked great for the U.S. national team since when he's been called up. I think maybe we're seeing him finding who he is as a player recently. He still has a lot of defensive issues 1v1 defending, but hopefully you don't have a guy 1v1 defending all that much that way. So, if he is, maybe that's the problem there, not necessarily his fault.
Yep. So we'll keep an eye on all that. And that's kind of something that I want to do each week when you come by, is to look at the progress of all of the USMNTers overseas and wherever they're playing, just to kind of keep an eye on their progress and things like that. Oh, what's the mug this morning, by the way? Les Miserables. Less miserable.
Yeah, less miserables. This is my Atlanta United mug.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I was waiting for that one. See, I set you up, and
John,
I know exactly.
I don't do it because I'm mean. It's just because they don't win. It's not my fault.
I understand.
I need to find one of a wooden spoon, apparently.
I'm careful now. Time for cards and calls.
Yeah, you should tell that to the team. Be careful. Don't go to the wooden spoon. You're 4 points from wooden spoon, 3 points from wooden spoon.
I know. Yeah, I know. Cards and calls. I feel like we should have like some game show music or something that should be attached to this. Basically, yes. Yes. And something that doesn't get us in trouble with the music police. But there were a lot of moments on the weekend that we could get into, and there were penalties and dog-so thoughts and PK calls that weren't, and handball and what's a handball and body extensions and all these kinds of things and fights and all of that. Where do you want to start? Oh boy, there's a lot.
Well, we can start with the handball with Gabriel. How about that?
Sure. Let's start with the handball with Gabriel. Let's go there. You look at that particular moment, and so Newcastle looking for a second. Elanga tries to strike the ball. Gabriel sliding in to make a block, and as he's sliding, obviously his arm is way up in the air, and it makes contact literally with his forearm about right here. And so picture a man, if you would please, in your mind's eye. sliding across the field of play. And as momentum is carrying him, arm goes up, ball hits forearm of the arm that is elevated as he is sliding. And so the claims for a handball were rejected. Does this just basically have to do with momentum and gravity and what you're trying to do with your body, those kinds of things?
This one was tough, John, and we'll talk about why I'm okay with the decision when we talk about the next decision from this match. But I think ultimately what you're looking at here is there was a deflection off of his leg into the arm. Whether or not you believe that really changed the trajectory of the ball is up to you. But I think where this comes down to the VAR review is, oh no, it hit his leg and hit into his arm. Now that said, I don't know what he's doing with his arm that far above his head. That seems foolish as all get out.
Yeah.
I would argue that as a very unnatural position to have an arm in, even as sliding. We do expect that if you're sliding, your arms aren't going to be like perfectly by your side. You're not, you know,
and especially
going down like,
yeah.
This isn't a luge competition, right? You're not sliding down a sheet of ice with everything tucked in.
Yes.
But this one, I am shocked it was not given a penalty. I'll just be blunt.
Okay.
Because I understand the deflection part, but that shouldn't be the only thing, right? That you look at and say, oh, well, it was a slight deflection, right? A slight deflection into an arm that is very clearly not where it should be. So theoretically speaking, I think they felt this was not a penalty. And remember, this is VAR looking at it. So VAR said, no, we're good with no penalty. But I'm a little shocked this wasn't given a penalty on the field. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. And so according to Dale Johnson, who is our guidepost for these, the guidance for the 25-26 season has two important clauses to cover the idea that a deflection didn't still automatically mean that there wasn't an offense for a double negative. A very clear deflection that results in a significant change in trajectory of the ball should carry greater weight than arm position when considering a handball offense. A. B. However, touching another body part before contact with the arm does not automatically mean a handball cannot be penalized. There's a lot of double negatives in these sentences.
Legalese, John.
Oh, I know. So those are the guideposts, but I think the larger element in this should be, before you sift through all of the legalese, what is a natural position for the arm in a slide as you are going at a high rate of speed across the grass, and then that comes into the subjective nature of the call. And so that's
and John, I think the other thing legitimately within this is I think Gabriel is the one who initiates the deflection sequence of all of this, right? He slides, the ball goes into the attacker comes off the attacker, off Gabriel's leg, and then into his arm. So I do understand why, when especially looking at it through VAR, a clear and obvious error, they go, well, it's not clear and obvious that this was a handball offense, right? That is, again, the standard for VAR is a clear and obvious. And I think very clearly there's a lot of discussion about what this actually should be. So in that case, you can't go, well, let's have a theoretical conversation over VAR. We don't do that. We have those in the off season and then we implement during the season.
Yes, we do. Second play is Victor Gyökeres, and this was early. This could have given your Gooners types an early lead. So Gyökeres charges inside the 18, and then he is challenged by Nick Pope. Nick Pope, the Newcastle keeper, comes out, wants to take the ball away from Gyökeres as he's storming inside the 18. And then Gyökeres fall down, go boom. And initially it is called a penalty by Jared Gillette. VAR overrules on this one. So what's going through our collective minds here?
This was a tough one for me, obviously. But
I can see you.
I've struggled with this a lot of times in the open field as well, because I think, especially when it comes to goalkeepers, we say, "Oh, well, they got a touch," and we go, "Oops, everything else is fine," right?
Mhm.
Sure, he got a touch on the ball.
Mhm.
I don't know if this was a fair attempt to win the ball,
Okay.
because he very clearly takes out a player who still could get to the ball and score a goal,
Mhm.
right? Even if he may have got a slight touch on the ball to deflect it away.
Right.
In the case of VAR, this is
You're looking at collision
I just
versus
yeah,
foul.
I don't know, John, because I think we talked about this last week, the week before, in the Manchester United game, where okay, he gets a little bit of a touch on the ball, but it's very clearly still a foul, and I think in that case it was a foul outside the box, maybe. Yeah, it was. Um, I think maybe that elevates it more to, oh no, we're not giving him the benefit of the doubt of he got a touch, right?
Yeah.
I think maybe because this is inside the penalty area, to Pope's defense, he's still fully on the ground. He has not jumped. His leg isn't in the air. He's in a very traditional goalkeeper move
Yeah, it's not
now.
the Horace Patatas material is what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
So I think in that case, that kind of saves him. Is he is not, his body is not making I don't want to say unnatural. That's
Well,
not the
but
word.
it's a
But
move. It's a move toward the player as opposed to a move toward the ball, I guess is what you.
sure, I do think that's my issue, is that he's just trying to block the player. I don't think he's truly trying to block the ball. But you can't judge intent, John.
Right.
Cannot judge intent.
Okay.
So you're looking at this going, well, he's coming out. He is making I don't want to say legitimate play on the ball. That's not the word I would use. But he is making
He's moving toward it. He's heading in that
it
direction.
is not serious foul play. I don't even think it would necessarily be reckless, right? In that sense. So he's making a play. It just isn't the way that I would deem to be super fair or safe. But he's entitled to some degree to try to block the ball and defend his goal. And I think that's ultimately where, when you look at this and he does, quote, get a touch,
Yeah.
we go, okay,
Yeah.
we're fine with it.
Right.
Now, again, I need to be very clear. Winning the ball does not negate a foul.
Right.
Oh, ref, I got ball. Yes, you shot him in the face and took the ball. That does not mean you fairly won the ball. Oh, ref, I got ball. Yes, you put your studs in his stomach. That doesn't, but the ball happened to be in his stomach. There's like a picture that they always share in every referee training where like the ball is in the player's, the attacking player's like midsection, and the defender's got his studs going right through the ball into the chest, and you're like, but ref, I got ball. And it's like, well, no, you didn't win the ball fairly. And so that just comes down to the question, that word fair, is this a fair challenge? I don't know, John. I think these two plays negate themselves, and we move on. Arsenal won.
Yes.
I'm not saying that as an Arsenal fan. It's like, well, I think both teams maybe got away with one. Let's put it that way.
All right. So the analysis is VAR still has to make his own judgment that it should be an overturn. But if the VAR identified that Pope got a touch, but center ref hadn't seen it, believed the keeper had only made contact with the player, it opens door for review because it's new information that could change the opinion of the referee. So VAR still has to make their own judgment that it could be an overturn, because getting contact on the ball doesn't automatically mean a foul cannot be committed. Man, there's a lot of negatives in this. It explains why you had the long deliberation before they decided to cancel the spot kick. Center ref could have stood by the original decision if he felt the contact on Gyökeres outweighed the touch on the ball. Yeah. And so it's not, so you end up with VAR identifying a play by the keeper before he makes contact with the player. Then it becomes a question of how the keeper made the challenge. If it's an attempt to win the ball in a fair way, touch on the ball means there shouldn't be a spot kick. If the challenge judged to be too strong or reckless, then touch on the ball wouldn't negate the award of the penalty. So that's what they were trying to work through in all of that. So, yikes, that's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff to work.
Mhm.
Okay, so there was another handball. I want to go, since we're like on handballs and things.
Oh boy.
Can we go to the Fulham one? We go to the Fulham.
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
So it's the Joey King, I think it's the Joey King handball here. I do want to get into the Brian Mbumo dog so and the penalty there as well as a part of all of this. So you end up with potential where Josh King runs through a ball right before going to ground. Emi Martinez, you get the whistle, and then you don't get a penalty there. And so you get penalty decided in that moment with Josh King. Then you end up later with the handball on Matty Cash. This is what we're talking about. So Fulham in the 24th minute, King shoots, blocked by Matty Cash. Fulham players are screaming for a penalty. Ref Gerard Madley made it clear Cash's arm was in an expected position for his movement. So expected position, it's away from the body. And so Cash is going to his left to try and be a part of two defenders, making sure the ball doesn't get to the keeper. So it is deemed that as Cash is running, his left arm behind in the stride is a natural expected body movement. Yes, no?
Right. So yes, I think this does kind of fall in line with the expansion of what we are trying to deem natural, right? Because we kind of had for a while there, like, no, your arms need to be by your side. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
If you're turning around,
Right.
your body physics
Yeah.
do make your arms move.
Yes.
And I understand why they think this is not something that is, I don't want to use intentional, but his intent in this moment was not let me swing my arm back and block the ball. It was I am moving, I'm turning, and therefore my trailing arm is now kind of,
back behind and
out from behind me.
There you go.
I would also say that one of the issues here is that I don't want to say it hits a non-player up, like it's not hitting his hand or his forearm. It looks like it's hitting his upper arm.
Yeah.
So again, it's still in that, like, oh, this isn't a legal part of the arm, but it's within what I would argue is a fairly innocuous part of the body. Like, okay, well, you're standing like this anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have appendages outside of your body, but that doesn't mean that they're meant to necessarily block things.
Right.
I don't necessarily agree with this, but I understand with this new guidance that is going on in the Premier League. Let's be very clear about that.
Yes.
Why this is not given a penalty in this moment. I don't necessarily agree, because I'm still going, well, why is his arm fully extended? Well, maybe not fully, but it's.
Yeah, I mean, he's as he is motioning, as he is turning his hips from right to left. That left arm,
it's not like it's out, right?
Yeah.
It's not like it's a chicken wing.
Yeah,
his hand is extended.
It is,
and that is where I do have an issue with this. Is the hand is extended? It's not. Oh well, my chicken wing is a little exposed because I was turning. I understand Fulham wanting this to be a penalty. I understand why they did not give this a penalty. And again, the call on the field was no penalty. So that's kind of the other factor here is VAR looking at this goes, well, it's not clear and obvious that this should be a penalty because of all these reasons we've listed. And who knows? I don't know what the referee saw. And maybe he thought that it didn't hit a non-playable part of the arm. That also could be it. He thought maybe it hit the upper arm. So that's also a potential thought process here.
Okay. Then the other one that I wanted is Brentford and Manchester United. You end up with possible red card and Nathan Collins pulling on Brian Mbumo, and I wanted to go through that one with you because there was a lot of things in play, and so Nathan Collins pulls Brian Mbumo on the right shoulder. because if I'm running towards you and I pull the right shoulder, then I'm disrupted in my run, and it makes it difficult for me to put a shot on target. So produces a yellow card for Nathan Collins, checked by VAR for a possible red card dogso, and they did not issue the red card there. So that was one of the more interesting moments in this one, where you don't get a dogso, you don't get a red, you just get a yellow here.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to make of this when I saw this, because this was going on along my timeline a lot this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I think what bothers me is we would talk about dogso inside the penalty area, right, John? We talk about how legitimate play on the ball is kind of what saves you from that double jeopardy. That's the only thing, is a legitimate play on the ball. I don't know about this.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I think had a red card been given,
Mm-hmm.
it would have been hard to justify making it not a red card.
Okay, because it is Nathan Collins takes his left hand, spins Brian Mbeumo on the left shoulder as the entry pass is coming in from the right. So entry pass is coming in from the right. Nathan Collins spins Mbeumo down around, and Mbeumo goes down, and that's the point of contention.
Now, you could argue, I don't agree with this argument, that the deeds of dogso weren't necessarily met.
Mm-hmm.
I would distance to goal. Well, he's what, 8 yards?
Yeah, he's
from
8 yards. Yeah,
maybe 16 when the foul actually starts to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we're moving fast. These guys are professional athletes. They're going real fast, John.
Yes, they are.
The foul happens right. Yeah, okay, it happens 10 yards from goal. Okay, so distance to goal. We're close to distance of goal.
Right.
Direction of attack. We're running at goal, right? This is in the modern game, especially, a most advantageous goal scoring opportunity. If you, I mean, this is what all the teams want to try to get their teams into, except for Atlanta United. We don't believe in doing that. But we then look at defenders.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, there is another defender that's like
off, and
I would argue in the general area, but not at all able to make a play on the ball in this particular sense, right? Because we're talking about how close they are to goal and the direction of play. Like that defender is not able to impact this, right? We do have a goalkeeper back, but it's obvious goal scoring opportunity, right? So a one-on-one with a goalkeeper like this, where the Mbeumo is very clearly the last, the most closest player that dogso to me is very much in play here.
Okay.
So that's kind of my issue is looking at this going, well, that's dogso.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't think pulling a player's arm is a legitimate play on the ball, John. That is me. That is something that we've kind of been, I don't want to say taught, that's not the correct term, but like when we talk about it as referees and when we look at these things, we kind of all agree that like legitimate play on the ball requires you to be like trying to play the ball.
Yeah, where Nathan Collins, Nathan Collins would have intercepted the pass going off of him.
Right, like if he is making a slide tackle.
Yeah,
because this is soccer, we play the ball with our feet.
Okay,
right? As football, you play with your feet. If he's making a slide tackle and trips him from behind, I can see where this would be look, he's trying to play the ball. He's making a last-ditch dive. Yellow card, we move on. You get the penalty, we move on.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see how any time that when you're committing a foul with your hands on the attacker in a dogso scenario, that it's not a red card. I don't see how that theologically, right, matches up. Like, that doesn't sit well on my soul. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah. And so then it goes to VAR. Was Mbeumo in a position where we definitely had a shot on goal? VAR judged the forward wasn't in control of the ball, so it couldn't be a red card review.
Yes, sure. I mean, no, he was not in control of the ball. I agree, but it's goal scoring opportunity. Mm-hmm. Opportunity, John.
Yes.
Just because he's a Manchester United player who doesn't know how to score goals because he plays for Manchester United,
Mhm.
doesn't mean this isn't an obvious goal scoring opportunity. If anything, you could argue that Manchester United is very good at creating obvious goal scoring opportunities and not scoring. But that's not what we're judging here. It's not whether or not he would score. Is this an obvious goal scoring opportunity? It's an obvious goal scoring opportunity for me. And I would even argue that the foul is what negated any sort of opportunity he would have had being in a better position.
Because
I
Mbeumo
mean,
did, through all of that, Mbeumo still makes contact with the ball with his left foot.
Wait, that's what I do not understand. I legitimately don't agree with that because it screams of someone who hasn't played the game or doesn't understand what the game is right now. Okay, no, the player himself is not in possession of the ball, right? Like the and control of the ball, right? Sure. I will concede that point. But he's in this is getting into coaching stuff. He has pitch control, right? I don't know if you've talked with Jason about this, but like the idea of like a good striker finds a way to take control of an area of on the pitch in front of goal with the ball in a playable position, right? That is something a good striker works to do. They gain leverage with their body, with their runs, with their speed, with their pace, whatever, to gain control of the pitch area in front of goal. That's the whole point of being a striker, right? Get yourself in a position where you can score. What the hell is this, John?
It took 2.5 minutes from the penalty being awarded and another 2 minutes and 5 seconds after that for the spot kick to be taken. So that is 4 minutes and 35 seconds between time of the whistle and the time of the activation for the spot kick to be taken. That's also.
I disagree that I think this should have been a red card. I think Manchester United still would have found a way to like lose 5-1 after that, but I can't control the outcomes of matches. I can only control that situation, and I think that should have been a red card. Sorry for the overt jokes about Manchester United, but they deserve it because they are a joke.
Yeah.
And it sits wrong with me, John. It does. This is to me not a legitimate play on the ball, and to me this is a very obvious goal scoring opportunity. I don't care that he's not the one physically dribbling. This is like the whole point of soccer is to put yourself in a position like this.
Yes. To make sure.
Someone tell Ronnie Dyla. But the whole point of soccer is to put yourself in a position like this.
And so Nathan Collins got away with one, I think, with Bart.
I think he did.
One other idea that I think folks need to be reminded of sometimes, if the first foul in a sequence is committed outside the penalty area and fouling continues inside the penalty area, you go back to the spot of the first foul.
Yeah, you usually do. Yeah.
And so that was a moment that folks were sitting there and going, hey, wait a minute. No, you have to go back to the first instance. That's when it happened. If it was outside the penalty area, it's outside the penalty area.
Now, the only thing I would say different is if another player comes in and is the one who commits another foul. Yes.
Mano y mano.
That is, the dude's grabbing me as I continue to dribble into the penalty area, and then finally I fall down. Right. We're going back to, like you said, where the pulling or whatever started, right?
Because starts.
We have allowed advantage. Basically, we're saying, like, play through. Let's see what happens here. Okay, well, we take it back to where the foul started. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I think folks just need to be reminded of that every once in a while. There is an episode of the Soccer for USPod that is out. I did not want to try and steal any thunder from it.
There is.
And
it's already ruined, John, because apparently Gio Reyna's hurt again.
Oh, jeez. So you got that one, and so there's going to be a retape for episode.
No, there won't be, because I still stand by. If Gio Reyna is healthy enough, he needs to be in. Basically, my recurring guest Thomas, he writes for a site called Chasing a Cup. And he kind of compiled all of the call-ups that Mauricio Pochettino has made during his time, which the reason we kind of did it now is twofold. One, he said, John, he told us no new faces. The time for new faces is over after September. Now, whether or not that's actually true or not is debatable.
Well, but
But also, yeah,
how
the
wide?
October window will be his official first year on the job. So he's been on the job for a year, right? So we're looking at all the players he's called up over the year that he's been in charge and said, okay, looking at these guys, who are the 23 we would call into camp? And then we also did like 3 training players because one, I think, John, you and I have talked about this a lot. Bring in training players. I don't care. Like, you can. What are these exorbitant ticket prices paying for if not to give a guy a meal or 2 a day for a couple extra days? Whatever.
Uh-huh.
So we look at that, and we both had Gio Reyna on our roster, and of course Gio Reyna is now hurt because I don't know, someone breathed on him too heavily. I'm not entirely sure.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right, Del. But that is the premise of this episode, and I think it's a good one to have, as the roster supposedly will drop tomorrow or Wednesday for the friendlies next Friday, and then the ensuing Tuesday.
The October window, yes.
The October window.
Yes.
October 10th and 14th.
14th. There you go.
So look at my calendar on the
Yeah,
wall.
I was about to do
John,
the same.
John, I have to feel good about it. Are you still old school enough that you have a wall calendar? Let's go. I have my planner for sure. But
I
got the wall calendar, I got a planner.
I got planner. I have the show calendar for the week. I have that here on the split notebook. I have a calendar on the fridge that is written in different colored ink for when the boss and I are on the road this time of year. And she's gone cruiting. She's actually leaving to go cruiting again tomorrow. And so she's heading out to the West Coast, and her ink is in a different one of mine. Okay.
No, we didn't really talk about Dark Horses. Like, we haven't talked about that. That was just a preview of the episode I dropped on Friday. And to be clear, not really. Because the problem is the premise of the episode was based on the players Pochettino has called in. So I don't think you can have really a dark horse when you're looking at that. And the other thing is any dark horses that we would call in are probably playing at the U20 World Cup. So maybe we get Diego Koken. That was one that we did talk about, but we were also operating, John, under the assumption that he would be playing at the daggum U20 World Cup, and Barcelona ruined it.
Instead of getting a phone call at Marko Mitrovic's hotel room from the front desk in Chile, that he needs to send him on a plane and get him out there post haste. So obviously we'll keep an eye on the roster notes and everything from Diego Koken from Barcelona. Yep, he was let in. Dell, he was let in, and then Marko Mitrovic got a phone call or something, carrier pigeon, whatever, telex. Hey, we need him back. So basically, Barca did a take back instead of.
Now, I get it. Their backup goalkeeper got hurt.
Yeah.
So they need a guy to back up Szczesny on the weekend. But it's quite annoying, John.
Yeah.
Quite annoying.
Do they not understand that the U.S. needs their keepers and their roster that was set for the U20s to maintain their roster?
I know. That's
inconsiderate.
No respect.
Inconsiderate.
Wouldn't have happened if they were on the Spanish national team.
Yes. All right. So
there's my conspiracy theory.
Yeah. SoccerForUSPod. That's Bart Keeler. As always, my friend, great to catch up with you and roll through everything on the weekend and have you vent your spleen about the rules of the game and everything else going on.
I know.
We'll catch up.
Shout out South Gwinnett Soccer, by the way.
Oh, there you go.
The old hoodie from John. I've had this since I was in high school, so it's rather old.
Sir, I got baseball cards that are older than that.
I know, but we are rapidly approaching, John. The weather is turning cold. We only have 2 days left in September. High school soccer is just around. I got my email possibly about refereeing high school soccer this year. Maybe I'll be on a game that you're calling and you can yell at me.
Oh, that'd be sweet. All right. Be well, my friend. Enjoy your coffee. We'll catch up with you soon.
Hi, y'all.
There goes Bart Keeler, everybody. SoccerForUSPod. The new episode is up as of Friday. And, of course, it can be listened to except for the edit point that they probably need to make now involving Gio Reyna. So that's there. We're probably going to push the Tuesday discussion to tomorrow. Tomorrow, by the way, it is KCD. Casey White's going to join us. She and Jess Charman called the match in Charlotte on the weekend. She also called NWSL. We'll get into the SEC. So it'll be an MLS discussion. It'll be an NWSL discussion with the playoff picture kind of figuring itself out. And then we'll get into the SEC and find out what's on KCD's mind there as well. And then our buddy Jason Stevens is going to be joining us at 10:30 as our education into the economics of soccer continues, by the way. And so one of the topics that we're going to be getting into is from our friends at front office. And this was something that that Jason and I were talking about before this came to pass. And it has to do with the idea of MCOs, the multi-club operating elements that we're staring at. That is part of our education in this process. That apparently France has had enough of MCOs, and so it appears that they are going to be discussing not having MCOs attached to the French game in Ligue 1. And so you're looking at that, and we'll get into that and a couple of other things, and American influence in Serie A and Serie B, Serie C, and Serie D, and all of those that we'll be getting into as well. So our conversation with Jason Stevens will be airing tomorrow. And so once again, it's going to be KCD where you be, in addition to what else is going on with MCOs and in France, and American influence and ownership in Italy. And apparently the numbers that Jason had, 11 of the franchises in Serie A have U.S. attachments, and then 11 more in Serie B, Serie C, and Serie D have American attachments. And so we'll be getting into that in our conversation that will air tomorrow, because we're going to catch up with him in the middle of the night in London, and we'll catch up with him then, and we'll air that tomorrow. The return of Tyler Pilgrim on Wednesday, along with Dylan Butler, and we catch up with one of the top-ranked teams in women's soccer down at SCAD, Savannah College Art and Design. We'll catch up with them on Wednesday. Nino and Nico in the Power Hour on Thursday. Hopefully catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring and our friends from Major League Soccer on Friday. And we're filling in the slots with guests and things like that. And so we'll get you ready for all of that stuff. News and notes to kind of run around with before we get out of here, and all the promos and things that you need to know before we jet on a Monday. Yes, it is Champions League tomorrow. So we'll have juice boxes and previews with all of that in the league phase. We'll continue that. Once again, go to Olive and York. You can help out our Soccer for Good campaign here in 2025. Get the jersey, get the navy blue jersey. And once again, you can personalize it either in white or in the double blue, Carolina blue, Tar Heel blue, whatever you want to call it. Catch up with Alex and Abby, and they will be the ones to talk to you about personalization, which one might be better for you. Don't forget, you can drop $10 a year and be a Fanatico, and you can be a part of that part of the fraternity over on our Chant app. In the Chant app section, you can get a lot of cool discounts. Being a Fanatico for only $10 a year helps out our Soccer for Good campaign there as well. We talked about Fanatis. Go to Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. You can get the SDH gear. The Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta gold embossed sweatshirt t-shirt, either red or black. And you can get a sweatshirt t-shirt. The SDH logo is on one cuff. The Grady Baby logo is on another cuff. And once again, if you help out there with Grady Baby, our Soccer for Good attachment in 2025 is middle school soccer programs that are attached to the Atlanta public school system. So you can catch up there, and you can help out with our Soccer for Good campaign there as well. So a bunch of different ways that you can be Soccer for Good. Olive and York, Grady Baby. Go to soccerdownhere.net. You can get our gear, and it's the new design. And you can also, there you can get Jason's Retrified Ruckus and Atlanta Attack gear. You can get all of that that's attached to the gear and the shop section at soccerdownhere.net. Remember, tonight, 8 o'clock, it is Soccer Over There. We'll be at the Brew House, Jason and probably me, and then everybody else will be joining virtually. We do have picks of the week to get into, and we do have our winner from week one, at least from our group of folks that were picking games. And so we have our winner for week number one, and they are responsible for picking half of the games for this week. And so we'll find out what's going on in and around all of our picks of the week. We'll find out how well you did, because I know I sucked. So there you go. A couple of things news-wise to get into before we are out of here on a Monday. We still do not know when the twos are going to wrap up that 20 minutes. We do not know. When we know, we'll let you know. And if it's a situation where we can broadcast, we'll broadcast it on the network. But when we know more, you'll know more. And then hopefully we'll be in a position where we can broadcast that 20 minutes before. I will be broadcasting from Fort Finley on Sunday afternoon for Decision Day, and we'll get into all of that. So our Tuesday discussion and the highlights and everything, that's going to get slid to tomorrow in that gap time between Jason Stevens and KCD. So that's where we'll talk about that tomorrow. A couple of things to kind of keep an eye on. We're going to try and catch up with our buddy Keeler Hodges this week because there's a lot of stuff going on in the USL, and especially with the USLPA. They claim that there have not been in a good faith negotiations and having to do with a new collective bargaining agreement. So they have now blocked the league on social media and are asking fans to do the same. There was a situation that happened with Raheem Edwards in the attached to the supporter section after the Red Bulls match. We're going to keep an eye on that. We still have the situation that is being investigated between Pittsburgh and Hartford, and what happened there and what is being reported happened there with racial abuse and things of that nature. So that's being investigated. USLPA is not happy with the league. Raheem Edwards and Red Bulls and everything else that's going on as the matches are getting close to figuring out playoff positioning. If you didn't hear it, the match that was with Loudoun and with Tampa Bay on the weekend, it was 1-1 with about 10 minutes to go, finished 2-2, and was absolutely crazy. So we'll get into all of that discussion as well. New franchises have been named in Reno, in Brownsville, Texas, and in where was the third one? Oh, nuts. Grand Rapids for MLS Next Pro. And so we've reached out to all of them. AC Boise setting records, but it was Reno. I think it was Reno and Brownsville were the two that were announced, and I can't remember the third, and it's driving me crazy. But anyway, AC Boise is setting records with their season tickets, and that's really cool. And you have AC Grand Rapids that is now becoming another independent franchise for 2027 in MLS Next Pro. And so they are going to be in their own arena there. So we'll be kind of keeping an eye out on all of that stuff. So let me, I'm going to take care of some stuff off camera real quick, but I'm still going to keep talking. Just to let you know, from our friends at Talk Sport, and this is never really a good conversation to have. You have Sheffield Wednesday players apparently have been told they will not be paid on time tomorrow. And we have that discussion that happens every once in a while. And it's a sad topic that we have to talk about when it comes to the economics of sport. But right now, Sheffield Wednesday looks like it is going to be yet another pay period where they're not paid on time. And it is, it is a disappointing situation all the way around. Also, you have Nuno Espirito Santo putting James Ward-Prowse not even on the bench for the matchup with Everton at Bramley Moore Dock. So 2 days after replacing Graham Potter, Nuno has axed James Ward-Prowse from the starting lineup, and he's not even in the match day squad for Monday Night Football against Everton. So dropped by Nuno wasting no time, and after signing the 3-year deal, then you end up with the 30-year-old set-piece specialist not even being involved at all in the matchup that is coming up on Monday Night Football. So then you have, and this was another thing that happened from our friends at Talk Sport. Gareth Southgate was on a short list, the 3-man short list to replace Ruben Amorim. And the cost of sacking Amorim has apparently been released as well. 33 points, 34 Premier League matches, likely to wait until after Saturday, November 1st to reduce the level of compensation. Although Amorim has said publicly he would walk away without a payoff, and I wouldn't do that. It is believed that sacking him now would cost Manchester United around $12 million. Sorry, 12 million pounds. So 12 million pounds to sack Ruben Amorim. And they were looking at possible replacements, and they were all from inside the Premier League. It was Oliver Glasner at Crystal Palace, and Donny Iraola from Bournemouth, and Sir Gareth Southgate was the third name that was on the list, which in a way is, I don't know if Sir Gareth Southgate would want to take that kind of a gig. I don't know if he would. But right now, it would be 12 million pounds to sack Ruben Amorim and the staff, and they're looking at Iraola, Glausner, and Sir Gareth Southgate, possibly. Chelsea is confident right now with Enzo Maresca, full support of the leadership, despite the losses to Bayern, Manchester United, and Brighton. Lost to Brighton on 3-1 on Saturday. They're looking at all the injuries, and they're looking at the all of the other elements that are attached to it so far. But right now, Enzo Maresca still has the full support of the board, so that is not an issue when it comes to the activity that is there. Follow-up from our buddy Ben Jacobs, not getting paid on time tomorrow for September. That is just, I mean, seriously. Why is Dave Von Chansiri still even attached to this club? It bugs the ever-loving ish out of me. Also tomorrow, I want to get into this story. I don't know if you saw it, where FIFPro is still waiting for FIFA to discuss the World Cup heat woes. And they put it like a 51-page proposal together. And they're worried about the heat, understandably, in a couple of places. They mentioned the United States specifically and the concerns over the Club World Cup that we saw. Remember the video in Cincinnati where you had reserves sitting watching a game inside on television? You're looking at the southeastern United States. They haven't had a discussion about scheduling yet. Kansas City will be interesting, and AT&T. So here, let's look at this. The Estadio Banorte, open air, that one might be a concern. MetLife, we saw what it was like for the Club World Cup final. Dallas is indoors. Kansas City might get a little thick. Houston's indoors. Atlanta's indoors. SoFi should be okay because it's covered. Lumen is Lumen. Levi's is Levi's. The Link might be a little thick. Hard Rock might be a little thick. Gillette, BC Place, Estadio BBVA, Estadio Akron, and BMO Field. So you're looking at maybe a couple of stadia that you have to be cognizant about when it comes to your scheduling. But we'll get into that thing more in depth tomorrow. The 51-page document to try to figure all that stuff out. Let's see. Trying to see if there's anything else that I have missed on the day. I don't think I did. But now the sack race in the Premier League. So Ruben Amorim is priced at 8-13 by betting sites. Enzo Maresca has gone down from 60-1 to 12-1. So here's your next Premier League manager to leave. Here are these odds. Once again, you've got Amorim at 8-13. Ange Postecoglou, who just got to Nottingham Forest, is at 6-1. Emery's at 8-1. Keith Andrews at Brentford is 10-1. Enzo Maresca and Vitor Pereira are 12-1, as is Daniel Farke. So those three are all at 12-1. But yeah, so you have Amorim at 8-13. Ange Postecoglou, who just showed up at Nottingham Forest, is the one who is second on the list. Second on the list. And I think that'll pretty much cover it. So tomorrow what we'll do is we'll go over everything in Major League Soccer. We will go over everything that has to do with the twos. We've got to do what's going on with FIFPro and all the things. And country venue adjustments. I mean, right now, until let's put it this way. Emilio, you're looking for a country venue adjustment. What other countries could handle an event this size with 9 months' notice? That would be the larger question. That would be the first question that should be asked if you're talking about country venue adjustments. If it's swapping countries out, once again, you're looking at 9 months of trying to get all the infrastructure in place. And then the logistics of keeping it in whatever countries would be associated with it. The venues themselves, once again, you're talking about infrastructure. Who can do this on the hop? But I know you're not specifically, but I'm just saying if folks are looking to do those kinds of things, who could change quickly within 9 months to sit there and go, yeah, okay, we can do this and everything will be fine. I think that's a real short list. It could be handled in the United States. but we'll see. All right, so tomorrow is FIFA Pro and their book about the Heat. Tomorrow is MLS the rest of the week. Tomorrow is twos. We get into that. Tomorrow is Casey White. We talk about Major League Soccer with her trip to Charlotte, and she and Jess, the Wonder Twins, got to call that surprising matchup. Then it's NWSL SEC, the rest of MLS. It is MLS Next Pro, and it's Jason Stevens in our economics discussion about MCOs in France and the American influence in Europe and how it is continuing to grow in all the other places as our education of the economics of soccer continues tomorrow. Like I said, when we know where we will be and when we will be when it comes to Atlanta United 2 and the 20 minutes. 20 minutes and one match left in the season for the twos. That 20 minutes, they're down 1-0, chasing after an equalizer. They need points. If they get an equalizer in 20 minutes, then that means that they would be at 38 points, and they would be right in the heat of the discussion for the playoff picture in MLS Next Pro, and we'll go over all your highlights and everything that has to do with that tomorrow. But once again, Brewhouse tonight, 8 o'clock, and it'll be soccer over there. We'll be watching the U.S. and New Caledonia at 7. We'll be there a little early to watch the U20s, and we'll get you ready for that. Soccer over there on the network at 8 o'clock tonight, and it'll be from 8 to 10-ish, and it'll be me and Jason and Jarrett and Sophia, considering that she has to make her appearance. We'll see if Maddie makes an appearance after her soccer match and all that kind of stuff. So that's another big Reaction Monday. As always, thanks for dropping by, as you always do, and being a part of the SDH family on Monday through Fridays and all the times in between that we're not live and all the times that we're doing stuff. It's the official term. Mucha platiel, play it safe. Thanks for dropping by, and we'll catch up in a little less than 22 hours since it is the end of the show. Means I get to do this. Back at it again for Tuesday Thoughts. Casey White, Jason Stevens, and catching up on leagues in the twos tomorrow morning starting 9:05 Eastern.